Say goodbye to the MacBook. Apple's already got its replacement ready.
Welcome to the All Future podcast, where we talk all things Apple, tech, AI, humanoid robots even sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
If you're enjoying these videos, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We're bringing out multiple throughout the week. And if you haven't subscribed, consider giving us a chance on that subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. So today we're talking about Apple and them possibly killing the MacBook. So they're doing this in multiple very strategic ways, and this involves their latest products and also rumors.
Guys, look, we're being a little hyperbolic here. They're not killing the MacBook. They're just coming up with a plan for when it needs to go to, like, the nursing home. You know, like, you got to be looking on the horizon always. Skate to where the puck is going. Wayne Gretzky, Steve Jobs, Michael Scott, whoever said that quote, right? We literally just got done with the iPad event. So we just watched it. It's Tuesday morning as we were recording this. And a few things jumped out at me, and it's something that I have brought up many times. And that is ultimately the iPad and Mac is going to be a combined system. The OSs are getting closer and closer. The abilities and capabilities of these systems are getting closer and closer. Especially we look at today, M4 chips in this thing, right? They just announced the new iPad Airs would have M3s. iPad Air, they're...
You mean MacBook Air?
Sorry.
Yes.
Let me imagine I said it right, guys. I mean, the MacBook Airs have M3s, and this is, according to Apple, the most popular laptop in the world, whatever, right? And that has the M3s, and they're like, oh no, you know what actually needs more power? Our tablet, the iPad. And so they put the M4s in the iPad, which is, I think, says a lot. I think it says kind of what Apple's thought is as they're going forward and what they think the future of computing is going to be in terms of integration with AI, wearables, AR, all these types of devices. Yeah, so I think that's where we're at with this thing. So that's my initial read on it, on the kind of strategic where Apple's headed.
Yeah, I end up talking about him a lot because I have a Tesla channel, so I follow this guy. Whether it's good or bad, I still have to follow him. But Elon Musk has this concept. He talks about all input is error, or like all user input is error. And so it's why we see Tesla removing things like stocks and removing certain controls and going to just a screen. And I think his vision is correct in the long run. I think they do an interesting balance that confuses and annoys a lot of customers. Like they remove it before the replacement is ready. Yeah. But I think what you're saying is true, because we're getting to a place where all you're going to need is that screen. It doesn't matter that if you have to type, it's on screen and it's not as good as a keyboard, because these AI features are getting good enough to where you don't even have to type.
Why are you typing anything?
Yeah.
Why are you? Yeah.
Why are you inputting?
Yeah. Why are you inputting? Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. I haven't heard that quote. All input is error. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a little extreme, but it starts a conversation into this idea of what do these things really need to be. And I think one of the dream goals of these things is, how do you get something like an iPad, big display, can show you all this information, but meet some kind of ultimate portability? Yeah. Right? So how are you going to do that? And one of the big things is this idea of a foldable device. You know, this has been around, I mean, in production for a while now. You've been able to go buy foldable smartphones that have kind of the foldable screens on them. Apple has several patents for foldable devices. Apple themselves have not released a foldable. Rumors are that they've been, they've had this development, all this kind of stuff going on, but they haven't put one out in the world yet. Where do you land on this, man? Are you like, oh, like I want to I want to flip iPhone? Like,
I don't know. They'd have to convince me. I don't really see it, because when I see foldable devices on the market today, they have a certain feeling of cheapness to them that I think the technology has to have, because in order for the display to fold, that's where we're at. But it is interesting. There's like some rekindled rumors right now about 3 different possible Apple foldables. One is a phone, and then one is a 20-inch iPad Pro type of thing. 20 inches. And another is a hybrid device for 2027. So these are rumors. They're being reported about from Apple suppliers. Apparently they're moving things up for a foldable iPhone in 2026. And then potentially in late 2025 is the production of this 20.3-inch thing, which that would mark the biggest portable Apple device ever, right?
This is my extremely skeptical face, right? What are you talking? 20-inch foldable. What is this thing even going to be, right? And look, I know that there's, you have these kind of foldable LCD technologies out there. They have the TVs that roll and then come out of a roll and go, and get large and stuff like that. So I know that, can I make this thing engineering wise? No, I cannot. But someone could, right? Someone out there could do it. This thing is feasible in terms of the technology. Is this feasible in terms of a product?
Yeah.
I don't think so. The one reason Apple doesn't have a foldable now is because they don't hold up, man. Like the Samsung, their first generation foldables, notoriously those screens got tore up, right? Like it was like it can't handle the brutal nature of what people put their products through, right? Which is a product that gets thrown into a car seat, it gets dropped on the ground, it lives in your pocket, it gets opened and closed thousands and thousands of times. So the durability of this technology, whether it's something that, say, uses some kind of hinge mechanism to make it work, if it is just some kind of thing that folds out, right? Even if it's something, a more exotic technology, like using some kind of like electrostatic to like get stiff and then get loose again, all those things are cool in a lab setting. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy, right? And in this case, the enemy is the consumer who is somehow going to screw this up, right? So foldable technology, this is going to happen at some point. It's pretty distant, I think, before it is at this level, this 20-inch kind of thing.
Yeah.
Apple, foldable iPhone, maybe in a few years. I think maybe they could figure out how to do it. I think Apple's big thing is going to be the durability of it, though. I think they're going to be worried that people are going to tear it up.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I think that's what's prevented them thus far from doing it at all. But, I mean, there are a lot of sources here. So the first source said late 2025. Another one said 20.3-inch foldable targeting 2027. Ross Young reported 2026 or 27. Mark Gurman said they're working on exploring a dual-screen foldable MacBook/iPad hybrid. And apparently they've accelerated their work on foldables for all of this stuff, and it's supposed to represent a new product in the high-end market. So it's a big thing, but maybe this is just the next Apple car.
Sure. Let me hit you with something, Ryan. Let me be an Apple prognosticator analyst. And I'll go, Apple is 100% working on a foldable dual screen device. I know this because they've been working on it since the 80s. If you look at Frog Design, which is the company that designed a lot of the mid to late 80s products, they had demos of folding like a 2-screen book opening device. So exactly what you're kind of describing, right? So sure, Apple has made a ton of prototypes of these things. They've literally been working on it for decades.
Yeah.
But I think what you're going to find is, one, the durability thing. And then I think there also is who is this thing for? Right? Like if you're kind of, the initial kind of lead of the video, right? If you're trying to be a MacBook replacement, what is the one thing I love about having a MacBook? And that's having a nice built-in physical keyboard on the thing, right? Am I getting much by having it be a digital interface or a fold-out thing? Like, am I getting much? There's laptops right now that have kind of the gimmicky, the windowing kind of screens that'll fold out. Is that moving units?
Yeah.
Right? Which I think is what it comes down to Apple. They're like, oh, great, we can make this thing. Can we sell 10 million of them? Are there 10 million people out there that need this? I don't know. I don't know. Right? Like, and that's where I come down on it, is that like, it's technically feasible. It's going to become more and more technically feasible as time's going on. But what's Apple's incentive to make this thing? And I mean, and there's already data on this, right? Like, are more people buying a Pixel Fold versus a regular Pixel? No.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it reminds me a little bit of the iPhone mini, right? And it's a thing that certain people in the tech sector, people like us, people that probably watch this, people that write these articles are like, wouldn't it be cool if they made a mini iPhone? And then Apple's like, all right, fine, guys, we'll make it. No one buys it. Like, it turns out that like, the market kind of dictates a different kind of vibe for these things. And the market dictates a thing that's simple, durable, easy to use.
Yeah. I'm curious. So if, let's say, an Apple device that's a foldable is coming, do you think a phone or a big thing is coming first?
Probably a phone. I guess I'm kind of 50-50 on this. And I know people who swear by smart flip phones. My buddy Austin Evans, Z Flip, like, he's one of the few people that I think this is not an uncommon thing. People know this. In the the YouTube tech community, every person uses an iPhone. Everyone who has an Android channel, guess what they're using? iPhones. like, come on. Like every iPhone guy, every Android guy carries around an iPhone in his pocket too. They use 2 phones.
Nice.
But Austin, if you call Austin on his personal number, he answers on a Z Flip.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is crazy, but he loves it. He loves it. He's sold by it. Like he's like, for some reason, that flip form factor really appeals to him.
Yeah.
So I think there is a market out there, but I know a lot of people who had. Not a lot of people, but certainly people like him who had iPhone minis who were like, oh, I want the smaller screen. You know what a lot of these people are multi-device people, right? If you're someone like, say, Austin Evans, and you're a tech reviewer guy and you have access to every single piece of tech, you're like, oh, I don't mind having a flip phone because I also have an iPad mini, and I also have a full-size iPad, and I have a MacBook, and I have this, and I have that, and I've got a Vision Pro, and I'm not sacrificing anything with this device or whatever. For most people, they're like, I can buy one phone every 2 years. That's what I'm getting. This thing has to be the perfect thing for me for 2 years. I don't know how many people are going to go to flip. It's the way to go.
Yeah. I'm going to speculate, too, on Apple's position there. So there's the flip requires the seam to be somehow seamless. Yeah. Because when it's a phone and you're flipping it to be your normal phone size, you need that seam. Same thing if you're folding it to be a tablet. So this 20-inch thing, maybe instead it's a dual screen thing. And Apple has shown us before that they will design the software around a hardware limitation. So there's still the notch on the iPhone. And there's even a notch on MacBooks now at the top. And they've figured out a way to make the dynamic island, So maybe it's a foldable, but it's like you're saying back from the 80s where it really is 2 different screens. It's not relying on an actual seamless fold that can be less durable.
And they integrate that into the software design somehow. They're like, oh, like instead of an island or whatever, they're like, oh, the magic bar, the info bar in the center or whatever, and it's like built into the software to give you some kind of functionality.
So you don't mind a seam.
Yeah.
That might be the direction they go to.
Which that seems possible too. But again, like I just don't know if the market is there for Apple to support this decision, right? We talk a lot about how Macs are 7% of all of Apple sales, all Apple revenue, right?
Yeah.
So like right now, like that kind of larger device with more power, whatever you want to call it, is one Apple's least favorite major product category. You know, like there is this idea of maybe a good foldable iPhone could be good because there's a huge segment of the population that wants the newest, best iPhone. So it's as a status symbol. That's a true thing, I think. A lot of people, like Android people, kind of use that to make fun of Apple. People say, oh, you just want to show off with your thing. It's true, though, right? Like people do want to show off with a new thing.
That's why people buy the new colors.
The new colors. That's why the new colors exist, right? And so it's like, oh, so people know you have the newer one. So I could see it being kind of cool. It's like, oh, I've got an iPhone, but it flips open. Again, though, like those screens are not nearly as cool. Anyone who's used any of these flip fold things, they're not as good, right? And they're plastic. They have to be because they have to be flexible, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Apple wants to do that. Again, like outside of some kind of exotic technology, transparent foldable aluminum. Something crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like these things are going to happen. I also kind of always have a skepticism to any of these reports that are from people whose job is it to advise stockholders and investors.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because their job is not to even successfully predict what Apple's going to do. That doesn't matter to them. Their job is to successfully make Apple stock go up or down, right? Like that's what their job is. And how do you do that? You go, oh, guess what? You're making a great decision investing in Apple because I think they've got a 20-inch screen in the future.
Yeah.
Great analyst. Here's your money for this. Thank you. Right? Like it's their whole model in that industry is not to predict Apple, to say what's best for consumers. Even it's to sell stocks and to make money as a consultant or whatever however they're making money. So yeah, this whole thing seems unlikely to me.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to eat my words completely when Apple announces the 20-inch foldable iPad Pro 7.
And you pre-order it day one.
I pre-order it day one, just like I did today with the 13-inch iPad. So.
I did just have a thought of, let's say it's a MacBook, and it's 20 inches, but it's 20 inches opened. And so it's like a normal MacBook and 2 screens that fold on top of each other. And then the bottom like functions as your input screen. And that seems annoying because you
want a touchscreen keyboard down
yeah.
Which there's PC laptops that are set up like that, yeah.
But yeah, if you think touchscreen keyboard, that sounds annoying. But like we were talking about earlier, they're trying to move so that AI can be doing a lot more things. So it's like maybe it's designed so it's an interface where you're not actually using input like that. But that doesn't seem next year to 2 years from now.
Pretty far out still.
Yeah.
Pretty far out. And I do think that's going to happen. Like there's that's already what's happening with computers. Like, most kids today, like, they're using their phones, right?
Yeah.
Like, no one's interacting with computers. It's funny. I have a niece and nephew. They can't type. They can't type on a keyboard at all. They can type right with their thumbs. You stick them in front of the keyboard. They're like, home keys? What? Like, they don't know how to type, right? They don't even take typing classes at school or whatever.
Interesting.
That is happening. I think it's pretty far off. And all these things seem interesting, but again, like, they don't seem like a product yet. It seems like a cool technology. What's my product use case here? I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the Apple Vision in some ways, I think. I think there's a vision of where that can go, and it's very cool, and there are use cases that are very cool today, but it's extremely expensive, and it's going to take a while for it to trickle down to be something that people want. And so if they were actually going to move forward with this, it's going to be a high-end thing for the niche group of people that want to buy the expensive thing, have the latest iPhone, have whatever cool thing, but it's going to take a while before it trickles down. And Apple's probably just putting their feelers out in all of these different areas to figure out what the next affordable product they can make is.
Apple spends billions in R&D on products we never see. I mean, look at all the things Apple has patented. How much did they spend with the car, right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Huge investments on stuff that they never make. So I'm sure there's labs inside, the Apple campus where they've got all this foldable stuff. But to your point about the Vision Pro, I think that makes a lot more sense if we're talking about a portable large screen system.
Yeah.
You make it AR. The technology hurdles you have to go over are much more attainable then.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it seems more likely to me that they can make a AR glasses system with decent battery life than they can make a cool foldable 20-inch thing. Like, it's like that seems like closer and more attainable, and like a product that people would be more interested in buying.
That is a very good point, because the Apple Vision to a certain degree can replace a lot. It can replace a lot of devices, especially down the line. I guess the only difference is you need to be able to share it with multiple people. So multiple of whatever future version of Apple Sapphire glasses it may be, they can look at the same object as opposed to needing this giant foldable 20-inch thing. So that could be where that goes. And I could see the Apple Vision actually just making this thing not necessary. But in the meantime, they're definitely working towards the end of the MacBook with an iPad Pro, which even is costing about the same price anyways.
Yeah, that's true. We did just as an experiment, we spec'd out an iPad 13-inch Pro, the new model. You're like over $3,000 if you're getting all the accessories and everything and really like making it high end. So yeah, MacBook, see you later, I guess. But I don't think in the next anytime soon, though. It's still going to be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, we still have our MacBooks and our keyboards for now.